Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. And man, I'm just fascinated with this picture of the Joker. It kind of reaches out to me in ways that I will not go into here. But this is my favorite creator in the business right now. Writer, artist extraordinaire. Man, White Knight 2 cannot come out fast enough. But anyways, what am I doing? Well, in light of this fiasco coming out and just pissing everyone off. I mean, I was on YouTube and I was watching a bunch of videos today and I came across like non-Comicsgate YouTubers, which that doesn't really sound right. Like really normie, not even normie, like I'm really happy with the industry type YouTubers that I normally avoid because they're the kind of like, everything's awesome. I like all the comics. They're all great. And I just like, gag me. If you have no critical thinking, if you're just like, I buy 50 issues and they're all awesome. And then you're, and I look at those issues and they're like, oh, look, here's Age of X-Men. It's really good. I'm liking the story. I'm just like, okay, tune off. You obviously have no discerning taste. You're just such a fan of comics that even garbage comics appeal to you, which I can kind of understand, right? Like to them, it's kind of like that old adage, like even bad pizza is good pizza, which obviously I don't agree with, but I kind of agree with mac and cheese. Even like bad mac and cheese is still good. But yeah, I'm all way off topic here. So even these guys, I was watching their videos and they were just like, oh my God, this is a total travesty of the character. And I was like, wow, when these guys are saying a comic's bad, you done screwed up. So that being said, here I got a stack of comics. Look at that. All these comics. Now, people try to tell me all the time, comics are dead. Comics are dead. And there's been a big divergence in Comicsgate. I think Comicsgate is kind of going away. And primarily because we're divided. I don't think the ideology, not the ideology is not right. The message of Comicsgate, or what founded it in the beginning, I don't think that's going away. But I think the group, the identity of Comicsgate is going away because one side is all on like, I'm out of comics. I'm just buying these select Indiegogo books from these select creators that I like, and it's kind of becoming and I don't mean this in the sexual way, an incestual cesspool. Cesspool's not the right word. Just, they're all making comics. Everyone's making comics. I mean, even Tug's making a comic. Yellow Flash is making a comic. Everybody's making comic. I think Captain Frugal's making a comic. I think I'm the only one not making a comic. But that's okay. Everyone can make a comic. Maybe one day I'll make a comic. I don't want to make it sound like anyone who's made a comic is bad. I just think it's overpowering the message. Now it's becoming this whole thing. That's what it's about. Like, oh, we're making comics and promote them on Indiegogo and everyone support these comics. And I was like, man, like one comic I really want to support. One guy who used to be real big in Comicsgate, and I haven't seen him around hardly at all, is Mr. Marvel, and he's got Wanpool. And that was a big thing back in the earlier days. And I used to talk to him regularly. Well, not regularly, but I DM'd him several times. And I was like, man, are you going to get your comic on Comixology? I'll totally buy a digital copy there. And he was like, yeah, we'll get it soon. And then he just like never did. But then he did some Indiegogo with some other guys. And then that didn't work out. And we're going to have his book. And now he's got his own Indiegogo. And I was like, man, I can get physical issues. That's what I want. I want physical issues. I'd rather have them. I'm like, I've had to hold these in my hand. But I can't afford it, man. It's $15 for issues 1 and issue 2. And they're just like normal comics, right? They're not graphic novels or whatever. And I was like, they're $8 a piece. You can buy them individually. I don't know who would do that. $8 a piece or $15 so you get to save $1 if you buy 2. But it's $10 shipping and handling. So it comes out to, $25 to get 2 comics, 2 normal floppy books. And I'm like, dude. And look, I think Mr. Marvel's probably talented and so forth, but he's still minor leagues, right? If you went to, if minor league baseball teams tried to sell you tickets and they charged you more than like Major League Baseball tickets, like twice as much, 3 times as much, no one would ever go see minor league. People go to minor league games. I don't know, I'm getting into baseball all of a sudden, because the tickets are like $5. Actually, now that I moved back to San Diego, I might go to minor league hockey games. I'm a Gulls fan, and you can get tickets for cheap. But that's why, like, I wouldn't pay NHL prices for tickets. Like, anyway, it's way divergent. So, where was I going with all this? I can't support it. I'm like, man, I'm not going to get these Wanpool books, and those are the ones I want. It's just too much. And I'm sorry, Mr. Marvel, if you ever come across listening to this. I will promote your work, and I will point people to your work. It's just too much to buy. I don't want the industry to go that way. That absolutely is the wrong direction, in my opinion. I want all these guys to be successful, and if they can make millions of dollars and buy Ferraris, awesome. It's not coming out of my pocket, but that's fine. Not everything comes out of my pocket, right? Like, I don't buy Ferraris, right? But some people do. So I'm glad that they exist for those people. I'm kind of sad because I want Wanpool. I want Red Rooster. I can't afford to pay for that. I think I was looking in that book. There's one. Oh, the new the War Campaign book. I'm not even a follower of a War Campaign, but their new book Vestige looks really good. It's got my boy Donald DeLay doing the art, and I was listening to their launch podcast. I don't know why it caught my attention. I like Donald DeLay, and they were talking about the story, and I'm like, wow, this is something. This is really creative. I was curious. I went onto the Indiegogo to check it out. To get the book, now it is a graphic novel, so it's thicker. I think it's like still only 48 pages, which I don't really like when you call that a graphic novel. That's like a prestige format book. That's about as thick as one issue of Dark Knight Returns, or half as thick as, if you will, Detective Comics 1000. After shipping, it was going to cost $37. I was like, oh my God. No, that's wrong direction. So if these boutique comics want to exist, that's what they're calling them, for people with higher disposable income, that's fine. But that needs to be a addition to comics, not not the norm, right? And Comicsgate is about fixing the actual industry, not setting up a new industry. It needs to be accessible. Comics should be $2, not $25. And they're already too much. But there are still good comics, and this is where I diverged off the point here. I got the stack of comics. These are all comics I'm looking to review. And so I thought, in light of the travesty that is Heroes in Crisis, I thought, you know what was also a travesty is this X-O Man-O-War series ended. And this just came out a week or two ago. And if you missed it, see if you can find it in your shop. I picked it up just because I just have an extra copy of number 1. It's $1. And it's not a true believer. This is like a full, thick version of the book for $1, the number 1. All right, well, sorry if you heard that beeping. That was I got something in the oven. So, where was I? Yeah, I love this cover. And I really love this trade dress. I didn't like it at first. I was like, oh, it's big, blocky, ugly, but this really stands out. And it grew on me. I thought, I don't know, it really grew on me. But look at this total Star Wars homage cover. I'm going to go over this book. I have not read this book yet, but I want to go over this because I want readers to know what is out there. I hear all the time, like, oh, there's no good books. When comics are dead, blah, blah. That's where I was going with the whole Indiegogo. Comics are dead, blah, blah, blah. They're not dead. There's great stuff out there. As a matter of fact, I can't afford to buy all the books that are good. I have to select. I have to turn down books. The guy that I love, Robert Venditti, has got a new miniseries, or actually I found out it's a graphic novel. I thought it was a miniseries from Vertigo called 6 Days, and it's a war comic, and I love it. He's probably one of my absolutely top 3 writers in the industry right now, and I'm just like, I've got to pass. I have to. There's more books out there than I can fill my pull list with, so that tells me the industry is okay. Like, okay, it's not okay. But it means that there is value to the industry. Now here's Electric Warriors. This one was okay. I haven't read this issue yet, but I'm gonna, and then I'm gonna do a review. Wrap it up. This is the final issue of the miniseries. It was a good story. It's a good concept. I think it was a little indulgent. I bought it because I thought it was going to be an ongoing series, and I just wanted to try something new that I knew nothing about. And my biggest problem with DC is that I think their characters are all so repetitive, right? If you look at Justice League, and then you look at Titans formerly was Teen Titans, but they grew up, right? But they're essentially the Justice League. You've got a Wonder Woman character, a Batman character. I think you got a Martian Manhunter character. I don't know which team Miss Martian is on. But, you've got all these copycat legacy characters. Which, and some people argue that they like legacy characters. That's fine, but do you want... It'd be like in Marvel if you had the X-Men, right? And then you had X-Force, right? But X-Force didn't have what X-Force is. X-Force just had a different version of a guy who shot stuff out of his eyes. And, like, X-23 was on it. And they had some other mutant that had storm control powers, and why do a team book with the same power setup of the characters? And then you've got Teen Titans, which further goes down that rabbit hole of oh look, instead of Nightwing on Titans, you've got Robin on Teen Titans. Oh my goodness, and you've got another Wonder Woman character and another. And then now there's Young Justice, and on Young Justice you've got another Superman character and Superboy. There's Robin on Young Justice, and I can just go on and on, right? It's so repetitive. It's like, God, DC, come up with new characters, and that's what I was getting at with this. So, then there's Nightwing. I have not read this one yet either. I'm really behind on my books. I've been binging they are back issues, but recent stuff. But I picked this one up because I was going to quit. I only bought Nightwing originally because I wanted to see where they were going to take Nightwing. And there was all this hubbubaloo of getting shot in the head. And I'm all for that storyline. I know some people are down on it. Bats didn't like it. I think there's nothing wrong with that conceptually. Things should happen to characters, right? Why shouldn't he get shot in the head? Why can't we do that story? Now, how the story goes, that's important. It can still be a stupid story or it can be a good story. But it was important. For me, it was it's like when Batman got his back broken, right? That was a big deal. I'm curious. What are you going to tell me? This is new ground for the character. This has never happened to Batman before. This has never happened to Nightwing before. So I wanted to see where it was going. The overall story was kind of mediocre. I've done reviews on it. I really kind of feel like it was an excuse to change his name to Rick Grayson. And I'm like, that's a stupid... You have all this, blank canvas of you can take this character in wild new directions. And you make... But they did do something cool that I think is neat. They turned it into a team book. And so he's not running around just by himself anymore. Now there's 4 other Nightwings. He's the 5th. And I'm like, that has potential. Right? He'll always be Nightwing, but now we've got 4 new characters that he's mentoring. That's cool. This is Detective Comics. I should have done them out of order here. Behind on these. Got the B covers, 1001, 1002. So here you've got, this is good comics. I'm going to do a review. Freedom Fighters has been getting good. I don't have any complaints of any of these comics so far, really. And Dan Jurgens should elevate this series. I thought this series was a decent series of Nightwing, just decent. And since I wasn't a fan of Nightwing, that's why I'm tuning out. If I was a fan of Nightwing, I would just be like, okay, I'll keep reading. But Jurgens hopefully will elevate it to another level, and I'm going to give Jurgens a chance now to see what he tells. But my favorite guy, Venditti, is telling this story. I've talked about it multiple times in reviews, but there's another book. It's getting better, so look for something on that. This is really good fun. Prodigy by our boy Mark Millar, pronounced Mark Miller. And then the only book I'm really disappointed with, but I'm just including it because the review is upcoming. And, who knows? I haven't read the book yet. It could be... No, I have read the book. It sucks. And then finally, I've been wanting to talk about this forever. This is a kind of book you can't do reviews of very easily because it's all spoilers. Like, it's just... The reason you read this book is the plot. It's one of those, it's deep down the rabbit hole type storylines, right? Just like, oh my God, it's like the whole world is this mystery. The whole point of this comic book is what is going on and figuring it out. Now, it's also a good character book. Robert Kirkman is the guy doing it. You've heard of him, does a little TV show, Walking Dead. Also the most successful indie comic of all time. He does this book, and he's really good at characters, ensembles. And we're on issue 14 now, and by this point in the book, it started off with just one character, and now at this point, there's a whole cast of characters, just like Walking Dead. But there's no zombies in this. This is a sci-fi, alternate dimensional type storyline where there's this place called Oblivion. I'll cover that in the review. I'm not going to go into it here. But, so, I thought I would just give a little video about what's upcoming. You can see, and I just wanted to quickly talk about, look, man, I get it that if you're upset about Heroes in Crisis 8, and Sergeant Batts, who's been a friend of this channel, as you guys may know, has said he's going to stop buying DC Comics. I've talked to him behind the scenes, and I'm like, try to urge him, you know what, don't make that decision so hasty. In the heat of the moment, when you're emotional and you're upset, it's easy to be like, F this, I'm done, right? Like, you might regret that. And he's going to make his own decision. I can't think for him, but there's good stuff, right? And obviously not all this is DC, but some of it is. And last week, man, big chunk of my stuff was DC. Venditti's doing 2 books right now, or actually 3 if you count that Vertigo, but since it's only a graphic novel, that means they're going to be giving him something else soon as well. Tomasi's doing, I believe, 2 books. Yeah, he's doing Super Sons still, and Batman, and Super Sons is about to end, so they're going to give him something else, right? You got Brian Hill's Batman book coming out. Wow, what else? I mean, the Justice League books, you got 3 good Justice League books, right? Like, 3 good ones, and they're different. They're not like just Justice League, the Amazing Justice League, the Spectacular. Like, it's three different. Like, that's and it's got different writers, so they're bringing. He's got Abnett, you got James Tynion IV, and Scott Snyder. Like, come on. Then there's good indie books. Oblivion Song, I'm telling you. So. Sometimes it can look down when you get these things that happen, and I'm not making any excuses. I'm trying to remain objective as a reviewer and a critic about the Heroes in Crisis series and Tom King, but it's disgusting what DC's doing. I'm also trying to be a little bit reserved because issue 9 still is coming out, and I did think of a way that, now it wouldn't make for a good story, I don't think, because I don't feel like the issues leading up to it would allow it. I feel like it was just shoehorned in, but I did think of a way that you could explain this whole story in Heroes of Crisis of what happened is using the story from Metal. Now, if you remember in Metal, they discover there's a whole dark multiverse, and the dark multiverse is essentially alternate multiverses that, DC, Earth 0, Earth 1, Earth 2, you guys all know DC's all convoluted in that. There's always different Earths, which are essentially Elseworlds. But the dark multiverse are these universes that had decayed, and they were supposed to be recycled at this thing called like the World Forge, but it all broke down, and then there's it's a big convolution. You got to read Metal to really understand all the details. But so these multiverses turned all twisted and dark because they were supposed to be broken down, recycled, and then turned into new universes, and they didn't. And so the things got all twisted, and that's where we get all the dark Batman that you're seeing. The Batman Who Laughs, Batman the Merciless, the Batman the Grim Knight. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but you've seen there's like 7 or 8 different dark. They're called the Dark Knights, which is really confusing because Batman's called the Dark Knight. So they're all twisted and evil, and each one is kind of a variant of the Justice League, right? You got the Red Death, who's Batman, who stole the Speed Force from Barry and became all twisted, so he's like a Flash version of Batman. You've got the Destroyer is his name? I can't remember. But he basically is a Batman who injected himself with the Doomsday virus to beat Superman on his Earth. They're all twisted and evil. But it's not just the Batman. They show you in that storyline that the Superman they were messed up. These things they don't go right. They're like corrupted just by their very universe and existence. So what if the Speed Force transcends multiverses? What if all the multiverses connect to the same Speed Force? And what if that Wally West that got pulled out is a dark multiverse version of Wally West? Now you say, well, we would have known that before. No, but you don't, because if you read Metal, all these Batman that turned corrupted and evil, and I say Batman just because that's what the story focuses on, there's other characters, they started off good. They just became twisted. They didn't have that moral virtue core. They were corruptible. What if, when they pulled out, they didn't pull out Earth Zero Wally West. They pulled out Dark Multiverse Wally West. And he didn't even know it. Like, he's just like these Batman, they didn't know, not until the Batman Last exposed everything. So, you could realistically explain, like, oh, shit. And he'd say, well, Ash, no, the Dark Multiverse, that was all destroyed and, like, solved in the Metal. Yes, it was. Except Wally West would have been spared because he was stuck in the Speed Force. And now I'm telling you, that's me. I came up with this. We're pissed off at what Tom King did. It's fixable. And if I can come up with that, I can only imagine what something like Geoff Johns could come up with to fix this. So, don't despair. Enjoy comics. It's fine to rant about the bad things. By all means, rant. Don't send death threats to Tom King. Jesus, that's stupid. But also remember the good. Don't get stuck in this pit of negativity and be like, F comics. No, there's lots of good stuff. And there's more than this. This is just one. Well, it's not one pull. There's stuff I don't have. This is not like all the comics I buy. These are just the ones I'm doing like reviews on because there's like no Justice League because I'm behind on Justice League. There's no Green Lanterns because I'm behind on Green Lantern, etc. I will continue to do reviews and show you bad comics, like I'm doing a review of this. And I will do reviews to show you the good stuff. Now, I was in this video going to do this. I'm going to make it a separate video because this one's already 20-some minutes long. And I want to spare you. So I'll just do it like a 2-parter. And this will just be a video of us chit-chatting and talking about comics. X-O Manowar. It's coming back under Hopeless. Such an ironic name. I don't have high hopes for it, but oh my gosh. The original Venditti run from 2011, which was a long run. And then you have this by Matt Kindt. All right. Stay joyful. Think of the good. Talk about comics. Below, you can talk in the things. You can like, subscribe. Also got a Discord channel. I try to remember to post it in the thing, but ask me about it. Anyone that's a fan of the channel, I will be happy to give you invites. We talk about comics there. And movies and other things too, but mostly, and it's interactive. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.